Why do so many people pass before 85, even when they seem to do everything right? The truth is, most don't die from sudden illness or accidents. They fade slowly, from overlooked habits, quiet stress, emotional disconnection, or a lack of purpose. It's not always loud. Often it's the little things that slowly drain life. In this video we'll explore 7 powerful reasons people age faster than they need to, and what wise elders do to live not just longer but more fully. These insights are grounded in science and lived experience. Because even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s it's not too late. Small choices, a gentle walk, a kind word, a habit of gratitude, can shape the years ahead in profound ways. Stay with us until the end, because one simple shift could be what helps you not only reach 90, but feel like yourself when you do. Let's begin. Number 1. The hidden weight of unprocessed grief. How holding on can hold you back. Before the body begins to break down, something else often happens first, quietly, invisibly, and far too often overlooked. It's grief. Not always the kind marked by funerals and tears, but the slow, silent kind. The kind that settles in when you lose someone or something that once gave your life shape and rhythm. As we grow older, we face more of these losses. A spouse, a lifelong friend, a home filled with memories, the role we once held, even the version of ourselves we used to be. And while many of us try to stay strong, to move on, to not burden others, that grief doesn't disappear. It simply sinks deeper. You may notice it in unexpected ways. A heaviness in the chest that lingers. A lack of motivation that doesn't quite feel like depression. A fog of fatigue, or a quiet pulling away from things that once brought joy. Margaret, 80, from Illinois, lost her son when he was just 44. For over a decade, she kept his name tucked away in silence. It felt too painful to speak of him, she said. But over time that silence became a weight. Her energy waned. Her spirit dimmed. Everything changed when a friend gently invited her to a small community grief circle. There, Margaret didn't have to be strong. She was simply seen. And in being seen, she began to heal. She said, "It didn't take away the pain, but it gave me breath again. I didn't feel so alone." Grief that is never voiced becomes a kind of quiet illness. But when it's honored, even in whispers, even in private, the heart begins to loosen. We begin to return to life. Not as we were, but as we are now, still whole, still needed, still human. Grief is not weakness. It's proof of how deeply we've loved. And living well past 85 isn't just about exercise, sleep, or vitamins. It's about lightening what we carry, so our hearts can keep moving forward. Number 2. The hidden cost of loneliness. How isolation quietly shortens life. Loneliness. It's not just about being alone, it's about feeling alone. And for many older adults, it's one of the most quiet yet dangerous health risks we face. You could be surrounded by people, even live with others, and still carry that hollow sense that no one truly sees you anymore. Over time, that ache doesn't just weigh on your spirit. It takes a toll on your body. Research now shows that chronic loneliness can increase the risk of premature death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises inflammation in your body. It disrupts sleep. It speeds up memory loss. And it weakens your immune system, leaving you more vulnerable to illness and to hopelessness. What's most painful is how silently it settles in. There's rarely a single moment that marks its arrival. Maybe your spouse passed years ago, and the silence in the house has only grown louder. Maybe your closest friends moved or simply slowed down. Maybe invitations stopped coming and you stopped asking why. Edward, 81, from Michigan, used to be active in his local veterans group. It gave him a sense of purpose and kinship. But after a difficult surgery, his energy faded. He started saying no to meetups. Then the phone stopped ringing. Before long, he realized he was only speaking to the grocery store cashier each week. At a checkup, his doctor saw the signs: a dullness in his eyes, a slower voice, and gently suggested a local walking group for seniors. Edward hesitated, but he went. One walk turned into two. Two turned into conversation, laughter, familiar faces. Now, twice a week, Edward moves, not just his body but his heart, in the company of others who see him. Here's what we must remember: connection doesn't have to be grand. It's often built in the smallest ways. A phone call to a neighbor, attending a weekly book club, inviting someone over for a cup of coffee, volunteering, sitting in on a community class. The body responds to connection in ways we can't see in the mirror, with steadier blood pressure, calmer thoughts, more balanced emotions, and a quiet reawakening of purpose. Even if it feels easier to retreat, especially when the world feels a little quieter each year, remember this. The people who live the longest and feel most alive are rarely the ones who isolate. They are the ones who reach out again and again, even imperfectly. They choose connection not just for company but for life. If this message touched something in you, leave a number 2 in the comments to let us know you're still here and still reaching. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and do that now. Tap the bell so you don't miss the next part of this journey. Your presence matters. To us, and to someone out there who might need you more than you know. Number 3. The silent harm of poor sleep. Why rest is more than just rest. Sleep, it seems so simple. Yet for many of us as we age, it becomes one of the most elusive and underestimated pillars of long life. And the truth is, poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired the next morning. It slowly, quietly, wears down the very systems that keep you alive. Disrupted, shallow, or fragmented sleep can accelerate problems many older adults face. Memory loss, a weakened immune system, rising blood pressure, and yes, even a shorter lifespan. We often shrug it off thinking, well, I'm just getting older. But your body doesn't see it that way. Neither does your brain. Sleep isn't merely rest, it's restoration. It's when your brain files away memories, your blood pressure resets, your cells repair, and your immune system does its most important work. But when you wake up multiple times a night, whether from discomfort, stress, or just habit, you rob your body of those essential healing hours. Take Joan, a 76-year-old widow from Oregon. For years, she woke up 3 or 4 times a night. She chalked it up to aging, and maybe the occasional cup of tea too late in the day. But her days became foggy. Her blood sugar crept up. Her anxiety flared and her energy faded. A routine checkup led her doctor to recommend a sleep study. It revealed something Joan never suspected: mild sleep apnea, a condition interrupting her breathing and her rest dozens of times a night. With some gentle support, a comfortable nighttime breathing aid, an earlier wind-down routine, and a cool, dark bedroom, her sleep transformed. And so did her health. Here's what matters most. Don't treat poor sleep as a normal part of aging. If you're tossing and turning, waking to use the bathroom, or feeling anxious at night, your body is sending you a signal. One worth listening to. True longevity requires not just being awake for more years, but sleeping deeply enough to recover for them. Even small adjustments can make a powerful difference. No screens an hour before bed, a warm cup of herbal tea, evening stretches, white noise, or a conversation with your doctor about what's really happening while you sleep. Because sleep, as quiet as it seems, is one of the most active and life-preserving things your body does. And protecting it may just be one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and those who love you. Number 4. The quiet danger of inactivity, how stillness becomes the first step toward decline. One of the most overlooked reasons many people don't reach 85 isn't a sudden illness or accident. It's something much quieter, a slow, steady drift into stillness. It often begins without notice. A missed walk here, a rainy afternoon spent in the recliner, a growing hesitation to go out when it's cold or when your legs feel just a little heavy. Bit by bit, the days fill with more sitting than moving. And the body, so intelligent, so adaptable, begins to forget how to support you. Joints stiffen. Muscles lose strength. Your balance, once second nature, becomes shaky. Circulation slows, and even breathing can feel shallower. This slow unraveling doesn't shout. It whispers, until one day you find yourself struggling with stairs, catching your breath after simple tasks, or worse, falling. Mobility, more than almost anything, is what protects your independence. It's not just about exercise. It's about staying alive in your body. About keeping the nervous system awake, the blood moving, the posture tall, and your confidence intact. Let me tell you about Richard, a 74-year-old from Oregon. After retiring, he figured he'd earned the right to slow down. He traded his daily walks for long afternoons in his favorite chair, catching up on documentaries. At first it felt like rest. But by the time he turned 76, he needed support just to get up the front steps. Then came a fall in the kitchen. His first but not his last. What helped Richard wasn't a miracle pill or an intense program. It was simple. Standing up every hour, stretching gently each morning, and walking the length of his street every afternoon. Over time that rhythm returned. His legs felt more sure. His breath deeper. His spirit lighter. Longevity doesn't demand that you train like an athlete. It asks only that you move, regularly, intentionally, lovingly. Even 10 minutes of walking a day can signal to your body, I'm still here. I still need you. Light resistance with bands, stretching while you brush your teeth, or even standing up during a phone call, it all counts. Because the truth is, when movement fades, so often does everything else. Independence, confidence, and even joy. But when you choose to move, even in the smallest of ways, you're sending a quiet but powerful message to your body and your life. I'm still in this. If you're still with us and this message resonates, type number 4 in the comments to let us know you're here. And if you haven't yet subscribed, now might be the perfect time. Tap the bell so you'll be gently reminded when the next insight arrives. Your support helps us keep creating thoughtful, heart-centered content to walk alongside you on this journey. Thank you for being here. Number 5. The quiet erosion of poor nutrition. Why food becomes medicine as we age. As we grow older, something subtle often changes. Our appetite begins to shrink. We eat a little less, crave simpler foods, and may not feel as hungry as we once did. But here's the paradox. Even as we eat less, our body's need for quality nutrients becomes more important than ever. Too often, older adults drift into a pattern of eating that feels enough, but lacks the nourishment that aging bodies and minds truly require. You may feel full after a bowl of cereal, a sandwich, or a cup of tea and toast. But without realizing it, your body could be quietly starving for what truly sustains it: vitamin D, B12, calcium, iron, magnesium, omega-3s, and other building blocks of vitality. Nutrient deficiencies rarely announce themselves with fanfare. They whisper. You feel a little more tired than usual. Your balance becomes just a bit shakier. Your memory isn't as crisp. But often we dismiss these things as just getting older. That's what Barbara, 79, from New Jersey, thought too. Her energy had faded. She felt foggy and slow. It wasn't until a routine blood test showed low B12 and vitamin D that she realized her body had been running on empty. With a few small changes, adding colorful vegetables, taking a simple supplement, and enjoying more time outdoors, her clarity and strength began to return. Here's the catch. Processed foods are tempting. They're easy to chew, quick to prepare, and often less expensive. But over time, they offer calories without nourishment, trading today's convenience for tomorrow's decline. Whole foods, on the other hand, may take more attention, but they give more than they take. Greens like spinach and kale, berries rich in antioxidants, lentils and legumes, wild salmon and sardines, walnuts and flax seeds, probiotic-rich yogurt or fermented vegetables. These aren't just healthy choices. They are acts of self-respect, of preservation, of love. Even small swaps make a big difference. Try whole grain instead of white bread. Toss a handful of spinach into your morning eggs. Choose an apple and almond butter over cookies. These aren't diets, they're quiet decisions that say, I still want to feel good. I still want to be here, fully. Because food is one of the few things we do every single day that directly shapes our future. When you eat to nourish, your body doesn't just give you energy, it gives you more time. Number 6. The overlooked risks of too many medications, when the cure becomes the cause. As we grow older, something quietly happens in many of our lives. The number of pills on the kitchen counter begins to grow. What starts as 1 or 2 prescriptions, for blood pressure, maybe cholesterol, can quietly multiply into a long list of 10 or more. Each pill has a reason, but together they can add up to risk. This is known as polypharmacy, and it's one of the most overlooked dangers to older adults today. Why? Because while each medication may be effective on its own, they often aren't prescribed with the whole picture in mind. One doctor may not know what another has added. And soon these medications begin to interact. Sometimes in ways that fog the brain, weaken balance, burden the kidneys, or dangerously drop blood pressure. Even worse, some medications are prescribed to treat the side effects of other medications. A sleeping pill to fix the restlessness caused by a water pill. A painkiller to manage muscle aches brought on by a statin. Before long, you're treating the treatments, and the original issue gets buried under layers of side effects. George, 82, from Florida, was taking 12 different medications. His daughter noticed he was more forgetful, drowsy, and unsteady on his feet. It wasn't until a caring pharmacist offered a full medication review, and a new doctor took a closer look, that the picture became clear. Several of the drugs were unnecessary. Within weeks of simplifying his routine, George regained his clarity, and a spark of vitality that had been missing for years. Here's what wise older adults come to understand. Just because a medication was once necessary doesn't mean it still is. Our bodies change. Our needs change. Our prescriptions should too. That's why it's so important to ask for a complete medication review at least once a year. Bring everything: prescription bottles, vitamins, over-the-counter pain relievers, supplements. Let your doctor or pharmacist see everything you're taking. Sometimes what seems harmless in isolation becomes harmful in combination. This isn't about rejecting modern medicine. Far from it. Many medications save lives and extend quality of life. But longevity isn't about taking more pills, it's about taking the right ones for the right reasons at the right time. Because every pill should have a purpose. And if that purpose is no longer serving your well-being, it's not just okay to ask questions, it's wise. If this insight spoke to you, let us know by typing number 6 in the comments. And if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss a chance to learn something that might help you or someone you love. Thank you for choosing to walk this path with us. Number 7. The quiet danger of losing purpose. Why meaning is medicine for the soul. One of the most powerful and most invisible threats to a long life isn't illness or injury. It's something quieter, the slow fading of purpose. When a person wakes up without a sense of meaning, without something to look forward to, contribute to, or care about, the body begins to notice. Not all at once. It shows up softly. Less motivation to get out of bed. Fewer plans. A growing indifference about tomorrow. But underneath that subtle shift, something much deeper is happening. The nervous system slows. The immune system weakens. The heart grows heavier. Because human beings, at any age, are not built just to exist. We're built to matter. And purpose doesn't need to be grand or heroic. It can be simple, deeply personal, and quietly life-giving. Tending to a garden. Teaching a child to read. Calling a neighbor who needs to talk. Volunteering once a week. Writing your stories down. Even caring for a pet. It's about having something, or someone, to show up for. Helen, 78, from North Carolina, lost her husband after nearly 5 decades together. The house felt unbearably quiet. Months passed. She wasn't sick, not exactly. But as she described it, I just didn't feel like anything was mine anymore. Then one day she noticed a flyer asking for volunteers to help with children's reading at the local library. On a whim she said yes. 2 months later she had not only young students who adored her, but new friends. Her appetite came back. Her spark returned. And one day she said, "For the first time in a year, I felt like I was living again." Purpose may feel intangible, soft even, but science says otherwise. Studies show that older adults with a strong sense of purpose live longer. They bounce back more quickly from illness. They experience less depression and anxiety. They suffer less from chronic diseases. Why? Because when you believe your presence matters, your entire system, physical, emotional, even spiritual, begins to stabilize. The people who make it past 85 aren't always the strongest, the wealthiest, or the luckiest. More often than not, they're the ones who still feel needed, who still feel curious, who are still connected to something beyond themselves. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for watching but for caring about your life, your health, your presence in this world. That already makes you different. We've covered a lot today, movement, sleep, connection, nourishment, medication, purpose, and grief. These aren't just tips. They're the quiet foundations of a long, meaningful life. Because the truth is, reaching 85 and beyond isn't about perfection. It's about attention to your body, your relationships, your rhythms, and most of all, to what still brings you joy. The people who age with grace and vitality are rarely the ones who do everything right. They're the ones who keep showing up, with kindness for themselves, with curiosity for life, and with a quiet commitment to keep going, not just longer but deeper. You are not too old to begin again. You are not too late to feel better. And you are certainly not alone. If this video meant something to you, let us know in the comments by typing the number that resonated most, number 1 through number 7. We read every message, and your words help guide what we create next. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe and tap the bell icon. That way you'll be gently reminded when the next message is ready, one that might just speak to the very season of life you're in. If you believe someone you love needs to hear this too, consider sharing it with them. Sometimes one small video can change a day, or even a life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for still choosing to grow. And until next time, stay kind, stay curious, stay connected. We'll see you in the next one.